Welcome to Shenke Garage. In this episode we're going to talk about the top 10 tools for building a car. So this list is basically the top tools that I've used the most while building the HX 1-tonner. I'm going to start off with the least important, work my way down to number 1, which will be the most used piece of tooling. So going to exclude basic hand tools like a socket set, screwdriver and spanners, just going to take into account that everyone's got a decent hand tool kit. So if you don't have one of them, that's probably the first thing that you should probably look at buying if you are planning on building a car. So with that, we'll jump into the video and we'll start off with number 10. So at number 10 is basically this seat slash creeper. So this is a 2-in-1 unit. So it folds into a creeper like so, and then a stool that you can roll around on. So the reason why this is number 10 is because it is a bit of a luxury item, so you can get by without it, but it is handy when you are working on ground level or underneath the car. It's just going to save your knees from kneeling down all the time, and it just makes it more comfortable when you're working on the car. So if you're comfortable, then you're more likely going to work on the car a lot more. So yeah, number 10, stool slash creeper. This one I just got off eBay. I think it wasn't very expensive, might have been 80 bucks or something like that. Okay, so coming in at number 9, we have clamps. So many different styles of clamps. We got F-type, we've got Vise grips, we've got magnet clamps. So yeah, different clamps for different applications. The ones I use most are probably these smaller F clamps and also these magnets. So the magnets are good for holding in patch panels. The F style are good for manipulating panels and holding in panels, so they were pretty handy for putting in the plenum and the cowl section. So I haven't really used these big ones that much, so these little ones, you know, if you are going to buy some, go for a heap of these little ones. I ordered these off eBay. Hell of a lot cheaper than going to Bunnings or like a tool store. You know, they can get pretty expensive buying them, you know, in town. So I just found the best way is order them off eBay. You can get like, say, 2 for $8 or something like that. So super cheap, and I found these ones are pretty good quality. Haven't had any issues with them. Same for these magnets. I just ordered them off eBay as well. So yeah, with this type of stuff, I don't think you can go too wrong with ordering it from eBay. On the subject of clamps, it's also just these panel clamps. So these are really handy for holding in patch repairs and panels, just so it mounts flush up to the existing panel work. The only problem with these is that you need to be able to access the back side of the panel to put this piece in here. So coming in at number 8 is a good quality power drill. So whether it's corded or cordless, I run a cordless one just for the convenience of not having to deal with power cords. So this one is an 18 volt. I've also got a 14 volt here, but if you were going to pick one, I would go an 18 volt cordless drill. Also just behind me is a pedestal drill, which to be honest, I don't really use it that much while building the car. I mainly just use this 18 volt cordless drill. So this is good for drilling out spot welds and drilling holes in panels, and also you can get attachments like a wire wheel just to get in tight little areas. So yeah, number 8, a good quality drill. So coming in at number 7 is a good quality vise. So a vise, you can obviously hold stuff in like car parts, you can knock out bearings, you can put steel in there while you're cutting, you can put steel in there and bend it, you can knock bearings, etc. on this flat surface here. This particular one, this will rotate, so you've got a different style of clamp underneath, so that'll hold in pipe, etc. This here also spins around, so the clamp will be 90 degrees. So yeah, good quality vise, versatile piece of equipment, this one, and I think this one was probably around $150, $160, and I think I bought this one from Total Tools. So yeah, number 7, vise. So coming in at number 6, we have jack stands. So I've got 4 jack stands. These ones are currently holding up the chassis at the moment. So these ones are rated at 2,000 kilograms each, and I would suggest a minimum of 4 jack stands for your project. So also just make sure that they are rated when purchasing them. Just be careful of buying them from garage sales or jack stands that are made up by someone. It's just not worth stuffing around if you are working underneath vehicles. Just make sure that you are using rated equipment and not dodgy homemade jack stands. So coming in at number 5 and following on from the jack stands, we have jacks. So we have two different styles here. We have bottle jacks and a trolley jack. If I was to pick one or the other, I would definitely choose a trolley jack. This one's a low profile one. It can get underneath, low vehicles and jack it up. Also, because it's on wheels, you can move things around with it as well. The bottle jacks, yeah, they're pretty much for lifting things up. If they're stationary, you can't obviously move things around with the bottle jacks, but they are pretty handy. You can get pretty creative with bottle jacks, so you can use them to manipulate and bend stuff. I've definitely used them for different applications, rather than just lifting up the vehicle. So they are pretty handy. They do serve a purpose. But number 5, a good quality trolley jack. So coming in at number 4 is a die grinder with a deburring bit. So I use this thing all the time to grind out spot welds, clean up metal, and just get into tight areas. So you can get different attachments as well, like cut off wheels, etc. But I mainly just use the deburring bit. So this one is an air version because I have a compressor. If you don't have a compressor, I believe that there is options of a cordless die grinder as well. There may be a corded version as well, but I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, super handy die grinder, number 4. So coming in at number 3 is a good quality air compressor. So an air compressor can be pretty expensive, but I believe that the investment pays itself off with the amount of options that open up once you do have an air compressor. So yeah, you can start running air tools, spray painting, you got compressed air to clean stuff down with. So yeah, an air compressor definitely has been handy for building this car, and that's why I've put it in number 3 spot. So I would suggest when purchasing a compressor, depending on your budget, I would just try and get the compressor with the biggest tank capacity and also the one that flows the biggest amount of air that you can afford for your budget. So this particular air compressor that I have is a 3 horsepower and it flows 320 litres per minute for the free air delivery, and I think the tank capacity is 90 litres. So this thing was roughly about, I think, $850, and it has performed pretty well. I haven't had any issues with it. It basically keeps up with everything that I've used so far. So coming in at number 2 spot is a welder. So this is a multi-processor unit, so it does stick, MIG and TIG. So I only really use the MIG option on this welder. I haven't really used the stick or TIG as yet, but maybe in the future I might use them. So it's kind of handy to have them as options. If you do run out of gas, then you can always get the stick welder and use rods and for little project as such. So this unit is a 185 Ultra from Sigweld, and it has a digital display on the front, and it has a really awesome feature that takes a lot of the guesswork out into selecting your voltage and your wire speed, etc. So you basically enter your wire thickness, material thickness, and your material type, and it works out all the settings for you, and it's pretty much been spot on. I've never had to really play with the settings once I put the inputs in. So if you're not a welder, I highly recommend this unit. It's super easy to weld with. I've had no issues with it. There is a cheaper option. It's a 185 multi-processor unit. I think it's $750 or $800. So it's heaps cheaper than this unit, but obviously it doesn't have, the cool feature that this one has. So I was happy to pay that extra money for that feature, and it's been really awesome, super easy to weld on. So before we go into the number 1 spot, if you did like the video, hit that like and subscribe button below. Also leave a comment if you do believe that there is other tools that you use more often than the list that I have mentioned. I'm definitely interested in hearing what your opinions are on your favorite tools to build a car. So with that, we're going to go into the number 1 spot, and that is the angle grinder. So the angle grinder, such a versatile piece of equipment, whether it's cutting steel, grinding, taking paint back, flapper disc, there's various attachments for an angle grinder. I have 3 angle grinders. Can always do with more, but 3 is a good amount. I have this cordless version, which basically I have a cut-off wheel always attached to this. So you can basically just grab this, cut some steel. You don't really cut steel for extended long periods of time, so that's why I have it on the cordless version. And I have 2 corded versions for longer, use it for longer periods of time. So we've got the wire wheel on one, and I've got the flapper disc on the other, and that's pretty much all my go-to attachments. Obviously there's a heap more attachments, but they're pretty much my 3 go-tos. So you can obviously get by with one angle grinder, but it is going to just take a lot longer to always be changing the attachments. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think the angle grinder takes the #1 spot? I'd definitely like to hear what your opinion is on the #1 spot, but for me, definitely the angle grinder. I use it pretty much every time I come out into the shed. So that's it for today's video, guys. Hope this gives you some good insight on the top tools for building a car, and if you are about to start your own project or build a shed, what tools to basically buy first and what's the most important. So yeah, we'll leave it with that. I'm gonna go have a beer. It's bloody hot. I'm sweating my balls off. So you'll see you next time on Shenke Garage. Cheers.